So how did Kellogg's become involved with the mosaics? But I really need to take you back a little while and sort of set the scene for you to the advent of the education action zones of the late 90s, when a change of focus was agreed at central government level, and a realisation that there was a need for sort of greater flexibility and independence for certain schools, and new powers were ceded here in Salford and Trafford and the local authority in Manchester, I think, regarding the schools in their areas. And this was under the Education Action Zone initiative of the 90s. Now, certain schools had been identified as needing different and additional support. The flexibility that was given to the schools and the autonomy would be able to help them to adapt their day-to-day organisation to better suit the local needs of the younger people, and offer focused and appropriate learning to raise the attainment standards. It was a bold and potentially game-changing step forward for schools, and it had emanated from David Blunkett's office, he was Education Secretary at the time, to take. I think on a personal basis, looking back nowadays, I feel that this was probably, surely the forerunner for the current day academies in terms of the style and the purpose of the initiative. And another pillar of the initiative was to identify successful private sector companies who could add value to the initiative by working with schools and the like, to share appropriate business skills with the educational establishment in areas of, but not exclusively, management systems, business use of technology, strategic planning, the appreciation of and the value of working as a team, transferable skills and people skills, and just the general philosophy of business departments working together to a common goal, as distinct from, and these are my words, but what was happening at the time was often silo management mentality, where people were working in very narrow and constrained targets, and it was a case of never the twain shall meet. And that's what prevailed round about this time from memory. Kellogg's had a long established relationship with schools, including some really feisty programmes. We were sort of fielding 20 school governors. Well, I mean, Trafford is quite a small authority, impactful but small and quite diverse, as you may know. We have grammar schools throughout, and then we have high schools and special needs schools. But getting business people onto 20 governing schools was quite impactful. We're also chairing the Trafford branch of the Young Enterprise scheme, which was a national scheme, and we'd been founder members of that some years back. We also developed a hugely sought after personally targeted work experience programme where youngsters came in from schools, and it was a real fun and impactful full week for them, not just answering phones and going making tea and going seeing whoever. It was targeted at what their aspirations at GCSE level were, and it was very, very in demand by the teachers of the schools who were responsible for that part, and many other substantial involvements and support, particularly working with the local authority. So providing support for communities of both that local and countrywide. And it was concentrated around our manufacturing facilities in Wrexham, North Wales, which is a fairly new, in the Kellogg world, that is, manufacturing facility. Liverpool, Wigan, Aylesbury, Manchester, mainly where our people worked and lived. Since the 80s, a good deal of our annual budget was focused on support for the inner city areas of Moss Side and Hugh and Old Trafford, where we had identified the most need, and it was particularly, but not exclusively, in school age and under school age children. At some point, I was approached to become involved in the Trafford and Salford zone forum of the EAZ, when I was responsible for the company's community involvement programme. And having looked at the aims and aspirations, if you like, of the EAZ, I recognise that the aims and the philosophy of the newly launched EAZ initiative chimed quite well with our department's well-established corporate social responsibility programme, and I felt that we had a lot to offer and we may be able to add value, and we proceeded to become engaged. It was the idea of bringing together some 25 schools, I think it may be 20, as I say, it was quite a while ago, within the AAZ, with such a creative project really, and it spoke to the need to bring schools together. Schools are often working quite intensely, quite effectively, but within their own purview. And in fact, at times when I used to go into schools, the teachers used to refer to us from private sector as real people. It was really, really odd. I knew what they meant, but, it's still odd. So the idea of bringing the schools together was a really good initiative. And the idea that the school would envisage and create a mural with support from a reputed local artist, obviously, a mosaic artist, and which would be displayed in the Quays area. It was like a vehicle for the schools to work independently, yet together, and to work on an identified timescale, and to deliver the work on time was very key. So again, the discipline of actually doing that. The opportunity for schools to deliver links with other local schools from across the borough, or boroughs in this case, and to give an example of the possibilities of input from the private sector which they could take away with and maybe capitalise on in the future. I think it's fair to say that the majority of the pupils on the zone schools may not have had the opportunity to visit the Quays and perhaps the Lowry Centre, and I think this project was able to give them the opportunity to do just that. It may even be said that the grandparents who'd worked on the former Salford docks, which had been a major employer in the area, had come to realisation when maybe their parents had said to them, "Oh, that used to be Salford docks, that area, and Grandad used to work there." So a little bit of emerging history. And finally to say that they will all be growing up now and rightly proud of their involvement in this long-lasting piece of communal work. And with the advent of this 20th anniversary, they may be able to appreciate it from a more mature point of view.